YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. This is our second free agency grades video of the day. News like crazy. I come up here to record this video and more news breaks, so I try to add guys into it. We're going to keep going through until we grade every single free agency signing. Sometimes they happen as I start recording, like just happened right now. The Jaguars are signing Rashawn Jenkins, and then sometimes just after. So those guys will be in the next video. But again, we got one video up with a bunch of signing grades, and now here's another one. So a lot to break down. Some big moves went down. Follow our Twitter for breaking news. Breaking down that news. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Constant NFL talk throughout the year. Can't wait for the NFL draft as well. Here's our Twitter. Absolute must follow. A lot of you joining in. Appreciate that. Either retweeting or mainly reporting stuff and breaking it down. You know, a lot going on. More going on as I'm talking right now. So let's get on to the grades. Joe Tooney was that big guard. You know, Brandon Scherff takes that franchise tag, $18 million. And then it's Joe Tooney left alone. The price gets, goes up because he's the only one. Teams are going to fight for him. We heard a list of teams throughout the last couple of weeks, but today that we're fighting for him, the Chiefs got into the mix. The Vikings got into the mix on top of the teams that we already knew about, and teams you kind of can predict. So Tooney's price went up because of that. Did not really expect the Chiefs to be able to get that top dollar and $16 million per year. Where this first started, you hear he has $16 million per year, and I knew his price was going to be high. I'm like, it's a little high. Do I want to pay a guard that much? Over $15 million. Not really ideal. Tooney's a good one. The more I think about it, the Chiefs really need an interior guy. They weren't expected to get a guy like this. This is big for their team. There's some teams where adding a guard's not that big. This is big for them. They can get the running game going, get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their first-round pick, going. That opens things up for the pass game. Of course, Joe Tooney is part of protecting the quarterback as well. It's kind of been a scramble trying to find a legit guard and try to keep one healthy. You keep that, you factor that in there as well, that Joe Tooney is a guy that could stay healthy. He's a guy that can move around a bit. The Chiefs got some guys that get hurt. They need somebody like this. Is like a perfect guy for the Chiefs. It's a bit pricey. But I really don't care. I'm going to give it an A. It's crazy that the Chiefs end up with Joe Tooney. We're talking about these teams that can pay big money, that probably end up with them. The Chiefs end up with them. I'm going to give them an A on that deal. That's big time for them. Should boost their run game, and that boosts the pass game. Next, we got John Johnson, $33.75 million over 3 years. The Cleveland Browns. We knew the Cleveland Browns could be in the mix for a free safety. There's a couple other teams that were really in big need of a free safety, and then you got the Browns that land him. And it sounded like this was their number one target before the pass rushers, even though they've been in the mix for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, a couple other teams in the mix for that as well. $11.25 million per year. I thought he would get more. I'm not saying he should get more. I feel comfortable in this range for safeties. So the price point's good range, but I would have predicted more money. Why? Because he was by far the top safety. Teams were kind of desperate, looking for free safety specifically, and all the other top ones got tagged. So I would have predicted more money here. So 11.25 is, again, around $12 million. I'd say is right for him, but it looks like a good deal because it ended up being cheaper than I expected. The guarantees are a bit though. 11.25 is a little lower than I expected. The guarantees are around $24 million. So I almost wanted to give it an A+ because I like John Johnson's game a lot. The guarantees weigh it down a little bit. I'm not going to hold that against them too much because they still got their guy here. I believe he's third with the guarantees, and he did have an injury, not this past year before. So that's why it kind of sticks in your mind. It's not the greatest thing, but it's not something that's really going to affect the grade big time. But I like this. Again, cheaper than I thought it would be. Really good free safety. Ronnie Harris and John Johnson, Delpit they'll use as well. It's coming together. It's coming together there. So I like that signing for the Browns. It's big time. Corey Linsley of the Chargers, a big contract, $62.5, $12.5 million per year. Very solid center last year. I kind of been talking this offseason. I was a little scared for who was going to pay Corey Linsley this mega contract because for multiple reasons here. Because the Packers, you kind of just throw anybody in there. They end up they usually play pretty well. That's why they weren't going to overspend on their own center. So you kind of wonder, is it a kind of a system thing there? And he's kind of going to a unit that really doesn't exist right now. So it's a little scary there. No, so you worry about that. Also, centers, where they value. Teams usually draft them third, fourth round. So it kind of tells you where their value at. So making this guy the highest paid center, it's pretty damn scary, So all those, with all that being said, I'm not, hate it, but it's not going to be that great of a grade, but I do bump it up a little bit because the Chargers were desperate, and it's not great to be desperate, but when you're desperate, something good, you have to get a good player across the offensive line. They missed out on Tooney. They wanted him. That would have been more ideal, more important position, in my opinion. I know centers have more responsibility, but if you find a guy that can snap the ball and keep a guy in front of him, it's a little easier than finding a guard. So it kind of had to be done to get the interior going. You kind of get a captain in there, So I gave it a B-. It's a lot of money for a center. I know he's a good one. Is he going to be as good? It's kind of a question mark. We will see, but it's still give it a B-. They had to get somebody on the interior. They still got a lot more work to do here. The Chargers, I thought they can land a John Johnson or Leonard Floyd. We're going to talk about or Joe Tooney. Lane Taylor still available, but so far just Corey Linsley and a couple other moves. We're still waiting on some details. Shelby Harris back to the Broncos. Kind of expected this. Really good interior defensive lineman. Was kind of underrated last year. A cheaper deal. This makes more sense. 3-year, $27 million. That's $9 million per year. Right around where other defensive linemen that are productive there. I think he actually might be a little better than some where he is going to be 31 years old, but the Broncos need to bring him back. Jarrell Casey out. They got other good defensive linemen, so that's okay. But Shelby Harris was a guy they had to bring back. I like this deal for him. It makes sense. 3-year, $27 million. Another one I'm going to give an A here for the Broncos. Just something that had to be done there for them. Next, we got Jared Davis. This was one that was happened right when I was done recording that last video with a bunch of grades in it. Jared Davis, I kind of had in my head that I was going to like the signing, no matter where he went, because I thought he was kind of a really good sleeper, sneaky sleeper, still has upside, has work to do, extremely inconsistent, but had those flashes, and you see why. Okay, that guy was a first-round pick. Now we see why. But not super consistent, but was playing in Patricia's scheme. Now going to Robert Saleh's scheme. So that's fantastic. I didn't actually think he would get $7 million. $7 million, I'm fine with that. I thought somebody was really going to pull off a move with him and get him for like 5, 6. But I'm fine with the $7 million. Another one that I like, low risk, potential high reward. It is only 1 year, so not crazy reward, only 1 year for now. But I'm going to go an A here. I think it's a sneaky good signing there for the Jets. We'll see what happens with C.J. Mosley. Some trade talk going on there. Then some big moves that just happened in the last hour or so. Yannick Ngakoue goes to the Raiders. It's a 2-year, $26 million deal, $13 million per year. I thought he'd get a little more, 14 at the bottom line, maybe 16, 17 maybe. He was kind of a guy with a big range. So 2-year, $26 million equals 13 per year, and that's pretty good for the Raiders. The Raiders need another pass rusher, need somebody out there that can be productive, and I think he can be productive if he's on the same team. Going from the Vikings, who he led in sacks 5 sacks, in 5-6 weeks. I'm trying to say, and then went to the Ravens. Was productive when he was on one team. Got to stick on one team and continue to play. So I like Yannick Ngakoue. He's kind of just a pure pass rusher. You can't really expect. That's kind of the downside. He doesn't do a whole bunch else, but that's what the Raiders need. Get a guy in there, keep him for these 2 years, get him going. He's going to be more productive than their other pass rushers. I do like Max Crosby. $13 million per year for the Raiders. Raiders, I thought a team that, might end up getting desperate for some pass rush. They didn't do that here while they get a guy with tremendous upside and who I think is very good right away, too. You just got to just stick him in there and play him. Don't, if he's going to hop around from team to team, it's not going to help him. So this is good here for him. I really like this. I'm going to give it an A+ for the Raiders. It's $13 million. It's a good deal here. It's a good deal. So yeah, good job for the Raiders. Good job for the Raiders. So they can still focus on other things. They got a lot of work to do. So that was kind of the question with them. Do they break the bank on a pass rusher because it's so important, but then they can't really spend on the other positions? But they kind of get that guy you break the bank for without breaking the bank, so they can focus on other positions. It's an A+ deal here for the Raiders and Yannick Ngakoue. Nelson Agholor is weird because there's a former Raider going to the Patriots, another Patriot, for the same exact contract. I'm sure the details are a little different, but 2-year, $26 million, same as Yannick Ngakoue, $13 million per year. The Raiders wanted him back. They weren't going to pay $13 million per year. I really loved his game last year. Really, you can see he's improving. So that's fantastic. I like the specific fit in the Raiders' offense with Derek Carr. So, but can he continue to do this? We'll see who the Patriots quarterback will be. I feel like it's going to be somebody in the draft. Right now it's Cam Newton. It's a player that the Patriots haven't really had, that type of player. They're shifty, a very good route runner, getting better, explosive downfield. Has that deep speed. So it's definitely something they needed. I do think he was an overpay at $13 million. I thought a guy like Corey Davis or Curtis Samuel, would probably get around here. I kind of expected them to get around here. They haven't been signed yet, but I was going to get ready to call that on the borderline overpay. Now you factor in Agholor is not too far underneath them, but he's getting at that price. It's a bit of an overpay. It's somebody they needed. Is it going to make or break the team? Paying $13 million per year. It's a bit pricey here. It's risky and it's pricey at the same time. I'm gonna go C-. He is getting better. He's shown big time improvement last year. Maybe it's a system thing though. That's what I kind of worry about a little bit. So we'll see. It's a tough one. We're not done with the Patriots. We'll circle back. This was crazy. This just happened a little bit ago, and we heard the Rams are in the mix. We heard the Chargers were in the mix, but the Rams were all day. We're working on this deal with Leonard Floyd here. 4 years, $64 million, $16 per year ends up being the deal. But all day they're working on this deal. All of a sudden the Giants, the New York Football Giants, sneak in there, and some people were kind of reporting that it was actually getting close to the Giants. They were making it interesting, so they drove the price up. It's a win for the Giants to stay. Definitely a win for the Giants to stay away from $16 million. I do like them better on the Rams and the Giants. So that the Rams probably aren't happy with the Giants right now, but yeah, $16 million. This is kind of weird. It's kind of a weird signing. I love the way Floyd played last year. He showed improvement, so maybe he can continue to improve. He kind of had big games and games where he disappear, but he could improve. He does fit the system. And I guess if the Giants drove the price, if you told me, I didn't hear any of that other news, you told me the Rams just paid him $16 million. I said no one was paying him near that, but I guess the Giants drove the price. We don't know what their exact deal was. But why this is a weird deal is because the Rams are the type of team that they're going to get, kind of a bargain and a cheaper option. And then if that guy wants to come back for that price, that's good. If that guy doesn't, we're going to get a comp pick, and they can continue to do that because it feels like whoever they put in that system, almost anybody they put in that system, because the coaching, the talent around it, Aaron Donald, is good. So it doesn't really feel like it fits, kind of the Rams' philosophy. Brandon Staley gone as well. I think that takes a hit. So I do like him in the system. He's improving, so it's a good guy to have around 4 years. I'm going to go C-. I was even thinking, $16 million per year is ridiculous. I was even thinking less than that originally, but he's improving, and we know he fits. So I guess bump it up a little bit. But Yannick Ngakoue getting $13 million and Leonard Floyd getting $16 million is I don't even know. It's surprising to say the least. So good player though. It's tough. It's tough. Ronald Darby goes to the Broncos. Heard Washington wanted to reach a deal with him, but they thought they can get him back way less than $10 million per year. Jason Verrett re-signs with his team, $5.5 million per year. We graded that obviously well on the last video. So Ronald Darby gets $10 million. Broncos were desperate for a corner here. I don't know. I don't know if I love the fit, to be honest. A lot of zone coverage, a lot of cover 3 with Washington. I cover 3, a lot of zone coverage, but mainly cover 3. Broncos were going to run. They don't run it. They run the least amount of that in the NFL. They're going to run a little more man coverage. You saw Washington lockdown defense when they got beat. It was kind of a rapid deep ball on man coverage, and it seemed to happen to be on Ronald Darby's side. So, and he has injury concern on top of that. Sure, his talent maybe not too far off from $10 million. The more I'm talking about, the more I'm not liking it. I don't like this one. I'm gonna give it a D. I just don't. It's a kind of a question mark on the fit. It's not nowhere near the same as Washington's scheme, coverage scheme wise. It just felt like a desperation move here. $10 million's not like overly expensive though, so that's why I'm kind of thinking. I just don't love the fit. I do think he should, as the injury concern, I do think he should be around $8 million maximum. It's a tough one there for the Broncos. Back to the Patriots, getting another receiver almost back-to-back. They get Nelson Agholor, they get Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's a sleeper-type receiver. I feel like he's getting better. Good footwork, good route runner. 3 years, $22.5 million. $7.5 million per year. See, I feel like Nelson Agholor and Kendrick Bourne really shouldn't have been that far off, 13 to 7.5. Definitely apart, but yeah. So I kind of like this one for the Patriots. This feels like a Patriots receiver. Another guy to fit in there with. Yeah. So was it going to be Myers, Bourne? I mean, they got a load of receivers. They're going to do it. N'Keal Harry. Maybe they trade him. Maybe they trade Edelman. I like Bourne. I think this is $7.5 million is a pretty good deal too. So I'll give this one an A. So a little bit different than the other one here. Even though Agholor is the better overall player, we're kind of grading on the value of the contract here. So I'm going to give them an A here. And let's see some more signings real quick. Surprising one here. Jaguars signed Jamal Agnew, who's a very good special teamer. Could be using a weapon here and there. 3-year, $21 million. I gave it an F. I mean, that was a surprising one, $21 million. And people are trying to justify it. You know, if I would have told you yesterday, predicted, the Jaguars, one of their first signings is going to be Jamal Agnew, they're going to pay him $21 million. I mean, Jags fans would have told me to go F myself. So, and I give them an F for that. But no, for all seriousness, they're going to get him the ball. They're going to use him in specific ways. And now they brought in Philip Dorsett before I went live here as well. So another shifty type guy. Agnew's mainly a special teamer. It's just $21 million for a special teamer they're going to use here and there. You can stay confident. You can try to come up with things all you want. And he could be solid for them, but it's just not. We were expecting a little more. On top of all that, we were expecting a little more splashes from the Jaguars. They got Dwayne Smoot back. I think $7 million per year for a rotation edge rusher is pretty solid. I guess that $7 million is pretty expensive for a rotation guy. But he could start, and if he is a rotation guy, he is very important because, there was people talking about them going big for an edge rusher. I didn't really need them to because Josh Allen I like and is great, going to be even better. I like Clavon Chason. I would prefer to start him. Just make sure you get a solid rotation guy, familiar face here. So I thought that made sense. Maybe why not in the A range? Because, if he is a rotation player, it's a little pricey, but it's an important rotation guy. I gave it a B+. Good grade there. 49ers go Samson Ebukam. It's kind of a D Ford insurance guy. I've never been that big of a fan of his game, but maybe plug him in there in the 49ers scheme. It could be a little better. $6 million per year. I thought this is going to be an under-the-radar guy for cheaper than that, sitting around a little longer. Gave it a C+. Texans go Malik Collins, 1 year, $6 million. I think it's kind of like a Ross Blacklock type player. I don't think they're going to be on the field at the same time. Texans are making a load of really small signings. Maybe we can get to those in the future. It's very confusing on what they're doing. They're adding to, and they got Vincent Taylor, which I graded him high out of college for a mid-round guy, but has been disappointing. But I'm just not really sure what they're doing. They're getting a bunch of depth guys, but it feels like, and Malik Collins definitely he's probably going to be a starter for them. But what does that mean for guys like Blacklock? It's a little confusing what they're doing. Collins is a decent player, 1 year, $6 million, not a lot of risk in that, but it wasn't something they should have, put the top of the priority list here. I would give it a C. Confused on what they're doing. You're getting a bunch of depth players to maybe start. I'm not really sure. Steelers get Cam Sutton back, 2 year, $9 million. Interesting one because you think, he's kind of a fill-in guy. He played quite a bit, got better last year. I liked him out of Tennessee. It was a little underwhelming. Got better last year. The versatility's great. Could play kind of outside corner, safety, slot corner, all of the above there. That's fantastic. Kind of those guys, in that range, get a little cheaper than 4.5 per year because there's a pretty big drop off in that position group. But I think he's going to have a bigger role here. So it's kind of back and forth. Overall, I do like him. I like his versatility. I like him with the Steelers. Mike Hilton might go. I gave it a B+ there. The only reason maybe it's not an A range is because is he going to continue to be like somewhat of a rotation guy? Because then do you pay the $4.5 million to that in that position group? You probably don't, but I'm kind of banking on him having a much bigger role. So I gave it a B+. The Buccaneers got Rob Gronkowski back, originally reported 1 year, $10 million. It sounds like that is the very max. 1 year, $8 million. So I gave it an A there. Back on a similar deal as last year. Key piece. The guy that turns it on when you need to turn it on. Playoff, Super Bowl. So I gave that an A. There's rumors, news happening like crazy. Right now, the Jags just brought in somebody else. They're bringing in Carlos Hyde. So, they've been mainly on the depth. There's teams that had big cap space and we expected big splashes. They're doing absolutely nothing. And then there's teams, the Texans cleared all this space and they're getting a bunch of depth guys. And the Jaguars had a bunch of space and they're getting depth guys. Not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. we'll eventually grade and talk about the winners by team. But first, it's all the players. So it's definitely interesting what's going on. Teams are trying to make moves. Everyone's like wondering, why is my team doing nothing? They're trying to make moves. It's just one team ends up with the guy. It's all about it's more than a bidding war too. It's all about, sometimes how the contract is laid out for the player, how many years it is. So definitely interesting stuff. We'll have you covered throughout this whole thing on Twitter first, and then we right here with these videos is the second grades video. There's definitely more to come. I know we're going to have trades go down. We're going to grade those big trades. We'll always be talking about everything in the rumors and on Twitter, so make sure you follow us there. Please subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on, all that be much, much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one. Goodbye.